Hi, and welcome to another Odd Job Motors test report. We're out here on a beautiful day on our favorite Lake Zor, running a 1929 Johnson A-45. Now, this is either a 2 horsepower or 2.5 horsepower motor, depending on the specifications you look at. And it is an opposed twin motor, meaning that it has cylinders on both sides that fire simultaneously. This was really what I consider to kind of be the last iteration of the original Johnson A from 1922. The A-45 was really a one-year motor. It was pretty much an advancement over the A-35, which was manufactured in 1927 and 1928. The real difference being that it has this valve located on the starboard cylinder, which is actually a compression release valve. This motor also is a late model A-45 from late 1929, and it has a little bit bigger flywheel than many of them that you'll encounter. And that was, I believe, sort of the last motors that were produced sort of in the later half of the year. Johnson, for some reason, switched to this flywheel, probably because some of the bigger motors that they manufactured used the same thing, and they were trying to keep the parts the same. But it is essentially the same motor as the old A-25. The biggest difference, of course, that the 35 and the 45 have is the pressure vacuum cooling system, where, and I can try and tilt it up here so you can see, that the propeller forces water up into that scoop, and there's actually another, I don't know if you can see it here in the light, another inlet on the leading edge that sucks the water out. And so it replaced the piston-style water pump with check valves that was somewhat problematic that the earlier motors had. Other than that, you know, it's got a slightly larger Johnson Model O carburetor than the earlier motors had. As Bob Zipp's fine article notes, the earlier ones had a dime-sized plug here, and the later ones have a nickel size. That's how you tell the difference between the early and the late carburetors. And the controls are all exactly the same. You can spin it around 360 degrees so you can get reverse. And as I said, it has the manually controlled carburetor and separate magneto handle that was classic for all of the Johnson A's. And it's got a needle valve adjustment here. This one actually is one of the finest running of the Johnson A's that I own. It really is just a lovely motor to run. Here, we'll take it for a quick spin. So to start this guy, make sure that you have the fuel valve on, which is facing down. And if you're starting it, the choke handle has 3 positions: down, which is choke; up, which is in the middle, which is fast; and then all the way up, which is slow. I've just had this motor running, so it should start on slow. I like to have the magneto handle right in the middle, just about basically over the carburetor. Didn't quite catch on that one. This is a challenge to do on this motor, holding the camera here. Let's try one more time here. There we go. So you have some adjustment with the magneto handle here. You can speed it up a little bit. I find that magneto advance beyond basically over the float bowl really doesn't do too much. And then the rest of it you can do by moving the carburetor valve up. We get about 6 miles an hour with the old A-45 here. It's about the best I see on the 12-foot Duranautic. Almost will plane off. As I mentioned, it has this interesting cutout valve on the starboard cylinder. I just activated it. You know, I'm not sure. It doesn't really go into a lot of details in the manual whether that was supposed to be something to make it start easier or idle better. I honest to God don't see much difference in either one. Here we are idling along. I'll put it back in. Well, and that finished it, of course. But anyway, that's the 1929 Johnson A-45. I hope you've enjoyed this brief tour. We're also going to run a 1933 Johnson A-45, which is basically the motor that replaced this, which has quite a few differences from the early Johnson opposed motors in that it's alternate firing and has a lot of differences. Anyway, I hope you've enjoyed this brief tour, and we'll see you out on the